On February 29th, 1944 is when I joined the Army Air Corps. I enlisted because I wanted to follow my brother in the Naval Air Corps, but they wouldn't accept me because my eyes focused much too slowly. Well, they said the Army Air Corps probably would take you, and I said fine, so I went over there, and they accepted me. A B-17 is a heavy bombardment aircraft. It has 10 men on board, and it has pretty fair load capacity of bombs, and it can fly many, many miles on a tank full. I ended up a gunnery lad, but I was given the chance to make my own choice, and I thought I would like to be in the tail. My responsibility as a tail gunner was to guard against any aircraft, fighters of any kind, to come up behind us and cause any kind of problems. And these are the guns that did the work. And they moved just by hand, up and down and sideways. And this little unit up here is the sight that I had to use. It had a circle, and out on the end it had a little ball sticking out there, and I had to use that as my sight to be able to hit an enemy. The 8th Air Force had the prime responsibility of bombing Germany, and the B-17s could fly all the way across to the east side of Germany, so we were a very valuable instrument. Most of the missions that I was on, I was able to get in 18, were primarily bombing marshalling yards and also bombing manufacturing plants for aircraft. Our air crew was made up of a group of really fine young men. I was the second youngest on the group. We got along very beautifully. The 18th mission was the last one we were on. That was March 2nd, 1945. I noticed that on the side, the starboard side of my ship, there was oil coming across my window, and that had never happened before. And 2, 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes later, it started to just shake the tar out of the ship, and we were all bouncing around. We had 2 engines to fly on. The condition of the aircraft was such that even flying on those 2 engines, we were just about out of gasoline when we got to Trier, Germany. And that is where we bailed out of the aircraft. I did a big flip, and then my parachute came down over me. And Byron Crum, the radio operator, came over. He said, "Hey, boss, are you all right?" He pulled the parachute off of me, and we stood up, and 3 other guys came in. So there were 5 of us together. Then we were really frightened. This was a very serious situation because it's the first time now that we're on the ground in enemy territory, and we heard this call come from behind us, Achtung, Achtung, which is attention in German. And this soldier came down in his uniform. He was going to take us into the authorities. They were required to have 4 guards be with us as we marched to where we were going to board trains to head to Nuremberg. We were in cattle cars, little small cattle cars, standing up, and occasionally there could be enough room if everybody kind of leaned on each other, somebody else could get a chance to sit down. We left Nuremberg on foot. The first day out from Nuremberg, we guessed that there might have been 5,000 captives in line. To sit down and have a chance to rest even for 5 minutes is very helpful. But they didn't do that. The old guys would just keep marching. And we cringed. Our feet were sore. So tired. We arrived at a town called Moosburg. We were then in there. We couldn't get into a tent, but our feet could go inside the tent. So we put our feet in the tent, and this one blanket out. One morning, it happened to be on April 29th. I woke up first because I was smelling something. And I bumped by her and I said, "Wake up, what do you smell?" And he said, "I smell coffee." I said, "Yes, I do too." Never been that kind of a smell in that camp or any other camp. So we turned over and got on our elbows, and a distance of about 100 yards away stood an American GI with a great big 55-gallon drum of garbage can of coffee, and it was hot coffee. And we got up and walked over to him. I started to talk to this guy. I said, "How in the world are you guys here?" And he said, "Patton sent us in and we took over and here we are." The exuberance that was in both of us and everybody else that came up there. And then we aborted trucks and went to Landshut, where they then flew us into Camp Lucky Strike in France. I don't consider myself a hero. I consider myself a recipient of a very watchful God over me and my crew. I know that every time we went in the air, every time we dropped a bomb, that we were contributing to a force that had to be stronger than the enemy was in order to be able to have all of the freedoms that we presently have today. And I felt very, very comfortable with those feelings, that we were doing what was right, and we were doing it in such a way that we didn't have to worry about somebody coming back and saying, "You guys didn't do the things right." We did them right. Everybody did them right. And we won the war.